AITA for gifting my racist in-laws DNA kits? The two most important facts. My husband is wonderful in low contact with most of his family. My father is half Vietnamese, half black, and the son of an American soldier and his war bride. My husband's family has never really accepted that he married me. They are not outwardly hostile, just not welcoming or inclusive. It doesn't really bother me. We love each other and our children. And my parents think the world of Danny. We live in the San Francisco area and most of his family is in Utah. We rarely interact. This year Father's Day lined up with Danny's grandfather's 80th birthday. So their family threw a huge party. They invited Danny but literally wrote that they would understand if me and the kids couldn't attend. It was such an obvious slap in the face I wasn't going to take it. I studied genetics in university, and I have noticed some interesting things about Danny's family. We RSVP'd that of course we would love to come celebrate as a family. I even spent a bunch of my own money to buy a special gift for the family. You get a DNA test. You get a DNA test. Everyone gets a DNA test. I felt like an evil version of Oprah. The faces some of the people made when I presented my gift told me everything I needed to know. My husband's grandfather thanked me and was oblivious to the grenades being passed around by the family. We also got him a lovely handmade cable knit sweater. Boy oh boy did I cause a commotion. My husband heard from his sister that some of his siblings and cousins took the kits away as soon as they could. So did some aunts and uncles. Which started an avalanche of questions. I feel very guilty about what I did. My husband thinks it's hilarious, but he has a low sense of humor. AITA. Relevant comments. No_lavishness_3206. NTA. I hope there is an update to this. I must know the T. Bored Panda 55. Did your husband do the test? It only takes one. And it was hilarious. The fact that they don't want to do the test means either they are conspiracy theorists who believe 23andMe is collecting data or they know and don't want to know. Episcoqueer 37. In fairness, genealogical, not DNA bank. I keep catching articles about how many folks are finding incest and cheating when they have their DNA tested. Given how we already know a fair amount about how sparse the Utah tree of life is, DNA on top may be startling to many families who thought they had bushier family trees. So AITA? No, I think it's funny anyway. Next story. Go to AITA r/AITA. 12 days ago financial_issuetra. My husband asked if I would be willing to care for his mother. I said no. Does this make me the asshole? My husband of 16 years asked me if I would be willing to care for his mother. I told him no. My husband asked why not. I told him the truth. We never got along. She has always been passive-aggressive towards me. I've been told that it is a thing many Hispanic mothers do when no one is good enough for their child. We are civil towards one another. That is the best we can do. My husband even dared to bring up the fact that he supported me when I took care of my dad who had cancer. I told him the situations were different because he offered. I did not ask. I also had other family members that were helping. He is an only child and has no one else, so everything will mostly fall on my shoulders since he does work long hours. We are talking sometimes 12 to 18-hour days. Last week alone he worked 84 hours. I told him I understand it may seem unfair, but the situations are different. I had support on my head when it came to caring for my dad. I will have nearly zero support. Yes, he has offered to pay extra support, but that will just eat into our budget. We are currently trying to save for a house, and I am currently not working as I am in school trying to finish up my degree. Took time off from teaching to care for my dad. After he passed, I did not want to go back to teaching. So ATM, I am my third year into my engineering degree. I do not wish to put that on hold either. Taking care of his mother. After I explained all of this, my husband just left and has not returned any of my phone calls. I spoke with my mom, but she was not far from helpful. She found it silly I even went to school in the first place. Got me thinking, am I the asshole for not wanting to put my own goals and life on hold again for a sick parent? Now to the update. My husband asked if I would be willing to care for his mother. I said no. Does this make me the asshole? My husband has been staying with his mother. My sister suggested I look into divorce and have the papers served ASAP to mitigate how much my husband uses of our marital assets. I also spoke with my mother again, and she still falls on the side of my husband. At this point I am strongly considering going through with what my sister's suggestion. Divorce now will favor me more. Instead, if I wait until resentment boils over. I have only been able to speak to my husband once during this time. I did offer a compromise. He waits until I find employment that matches what he makes, or at the very least half. He become visibly annoyed because waiting until I get employment that matches what he earns now will take years, and getting a job that only covers half of what he makes will still require him to work longer hours until I graduate. He keeps pushing I go back to teaching for now and work on my degree part-time. I told him I will not delay my degree for a person that hates me. As many mentioned, I asked how come he never put his mother in her place when she was passive-aggressive towards me. He recounted the times he did stand up for me, but in the same breath he asked, what did you expect me to do, ignore my mother because she would not listen? Then even had the balls to quote our current situation as a means to justify her feelings towards me. He asked me loaded questions that do not match the situation, like would my parents like him if he put us in a situation where I had to work 84-hour weeks regularly to keep a somewhat comfortable lifestyle. In my opinion, that is not fair, because once had I had to explain, he offered. I did not ask him to do any of that. He was the one that came to me and asked if I wanted to stop working to care for my dad and focus on being around him. Why would I say no to that? We also both agreed that going back to school to sew something I would enjoy more than teaching was not a bad idea, and once again it was his idea to fully fund it. I offered to take out loans, but he told me taking out loans just to defer the payments for a later date seems silly, and we should look at programs and school that fit within our budget as a family so I can graduate debt-free. In short, he said it makes no sense to take on debt for a second career at our ages. I did not do any of this unilaterally like he is trying to do, using our marital assets to fund his mother's care. No child should be a parent's retirement plan, end of story. He loves to bring up what I did for my dad, but the part he does loves to overlook is he did not actively take part in the care of my dad. He did not move in with us, and he never had to physically take care of him. These situations are different. I also had family to help. He is no one. I get being an only child sucks, but that is not my fault. So most likely I will be divorcing my husband because he refuses to see the difference, and I find to do what is best for my future overall. Relevant comments. Conflict. No 5518. I had to go read the original post. You're not the A for refusing to be a caretaker for your mill. However, that will mean your husband will need to either cut back on his hours of work to help his mother or pay for a caretaker, which will cut into expenses. Yet you're not willing for him to pay for a caretaker for his mother because that comes out of the marital assets? What? He's been breaking his back supporting you while you didn't work and took care of your father. And he's likely paying for your continued education. Or you're paying for it from your savings, but your husband is still covering everything else in the household. Marriage is a give and take, and while he should have asked and not expected you to take care of his mother, I don't see any give on your part, only taking. That part makes Uta. You're incredibly selfish. Is this even real? Meow meow _ now, a hole or not, the lesson here seems to be, Mills, be kind to your dills. Your sons aren't going to be the ones to quit their jobs to take care of you, and younger generations won't be guilted into wasting their life for people that were awful to them. Aunt, Spiritual 3269. I'm more than kind to my dill, and she wouldn't even give me a lift to hospital if I needed it, smiley face. I've spent 18 years trying, and TBH I'm now at the point where I'm still nice and pleasant and will help out wherever I can, but I'm switched off mentally from her. Self-preservation has finally kicked in. So, not the a-hole. AITA for telling my husband I don't like having sex with him. My husband and I have been married for 5 years and have 2 kids together, 4 and 2. When we first had the children, I knew that our sex life would probably take a dive, and I was okay with that. Now that the younger one is a toddler, he doesn't need as much care at night since he sleeps through. I was having a conversation with my husband about our sex life and how I'm not happy with it. He agreed that he was unhappy as well, and that we should both make an effort to do it more. He said that talking about is hard for him, but he knows he needs to do it in order to fix the issue. While we were talking, I said something along the lines of, well, it's not that enjoyable for me. You stick it in dry and it's very uncomfortable for me. I even bleed sometimes. He looked at me and said, I know. I just don't like foreplay. I don't like doing it at all. I think I was stunned that he said something like that. It's like it confirmed that he doesn't care about me and my feelings/pleasure at all. So then I said, well, I don't really enjoy having sex, honestly. It isn't great for me. And he got upset. He shut down and wouldn't talk to me for a while. I don't think I was being a jerk or anything, but he disagreed. So, AITA here? Edit, no, he was not always like this. He used to be kind, caring, and gentle. Then I got pregnant and he stopped touching me altogether for 8 months. Then, when we started back up again, it became what we are going through now. Edit 2, I was 18 when we met and we got married when I was 20. He's my first everything. Edit 3, I am thankful that he was able to sit down with me and have a conversation. I know how difficult that is because I also get anxious and uncomfortable. At least we had some sort of conversation about it before all this. I think it's better than nothing. So now to the relevant comments. Account begun 69. I even bleed sometimes. He looked at me and said, I know. I just don't like foreplay. I don't like doing it at all. That's red alert material. That's abnormal to hear your so is bleeding after intimacy and shrug it off. Jesus. Brie Kachu. Dotson. In the spirit of this comparison lol, I was recently watching a show called Extreme Love and it was weird couples / people with weird attractions like to cars and planes lol. But one married couple was a man and woman who were building AI responsive sex robots, like to the point they had sensors in the vagina that when touched correctly they would moan lol. But the kicker? One of the most recent updates after their episode aired was the wife saying she had insisted that the robots get a new function next, that if you are disrespecting it or ignoring it, that it has the ability to tell you no, it doesn't want to fuck you lamau, which is awesome. But like, once the robot is telling you it doesn't want to fuck you, I think I'd be packing it in permanently. And Op's husband sounds like the exact kind of guy it would say no to lol. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Happy_flow 826. Giant waving red flag. I get it, sometimes you feel good but the natural fluids aren't flowing and blood happens by accident. I've had that happen before. My partner freaked out and apologized for hurting me, went out and got 3 different types of lube for me to test so that we didn't have sensitive tissue tearing and causing bleeding during what's supposed to be fun and pain-free, outside of the fun kind of pain if that's what a person's into. So not the a-hole, but girl, so many red flags. Run and never look back. Next story. For more stories please subscribe and don't forget to hit the notification bell. Thanks.